There we are. Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody. This is the iWonder Sisters weekly broadcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm Kim.
And this is Chloe.
She's laying on the laptop. Chloe, do you want to sit up and see everybody? Oh, gosh. She was just groomed. Okay. So, hello and welcome. I think this is episode 4 or 5, I don't know, but anyway, this is Conversations with the iWonder Sisters. You all know that we do love and libations on Sundays, but we always have
libate all the time.
So we want to welcome you, and Chloe's cracking me up. So we want to actually have a pretty fun video today, because at the end we're going to be sharing some stuff we got. So, Chloe's crawling the keyboard. So we're going to be sharing some stuff that we got from Etsy and some great buys that we got from Walgreens.
Yes.
Walgreens. So, just a little background. We're the iWonder Sisters, and I am really trying to make over myself. More so trying to match the inside with the outside, which the inside is having a lot of fun. So I wanted to have the outside looking like that. So here we are in our blue lipstick. Yes, it's called the Bewitching Hour, and we'll share the products and the company that made them, and some other cute little things. But first we want to have a chat about friendship, especially female friendships once we become adults, the beauty of it, and also maybe some of the challenges of actually finding some of the challenges of actually finding a friend. Okay, we're sorry about that. All right. So, a welcome, and I'm going to have Andy start off, if she would be so kind, because she really wanted to talk about this subject today, and so I really want her to talk about what's on her mind about friendships, especially those that we have when we're all grown up.
Through the course of my life, I've had a very difficult time making friends, and as I've gotten older, it hasn't actually gotten any easier for me. I tend to be a pretty private person, and I do share with the people I'm very close to, but on meeting somebody, I tend to be a bit reserved, and I think in some ways I'm difficult to know. But once you know me, I'm totally out there, and I don't really hold a lot of stuff back. My relationship with Kim, and this is Kim, has been one of the most unique relationships I've ever had, and we came together by accident, and just clicked. It was one of those things where it was more a question of chemistry and I think a mental connection than anything else. And we have so much fun together. Look, I'm 67 years old and Kim's 47. And Chloe, stop. She keeps moving. And I mean, I have younger people in my life. people that I cherish a lot, and really don't have any friends my own age. But this relationship is something quite unique. We spend most of our time laughing, and we have deep conversations, some of which end up on YouTube. And this is just, they've done studies that when women come together with a feeling of strong connection, that each of those women produces oxytocin, which is what's the word I want? Oh, I'm having a brain fart. But it's like serotonin. It lifts you up, and it promotes greater connection. And I feel like the oxytocin that exists between Kim and me is off the charts.
Exactly. You know, and one of the things that I want to talk about friendship, especially because, you know, I just want to say that for me anyway, and I think for most people, there are different levels of friends. All my life, I've had friends in my life, but they may have been people that specifically held a certain place in my life. We might be great socializing and going out together. I've had friends who have had, especially when I was practicing Buddhism really deeply, I've had friends who were in my Buddhist temple, and we had that very strong, passionate love in common with each other. Also, they were such a great help to me. So, so there are friends, and of course we have friends when, I mean, Angie and I work from home now, of course, but we both have worked outside the home many years, and there are those friends that because you have that in common and you see them often more than you see anyone, you tend to build a relationship with them. So for me, there's different levels of friendship. The sisterhood that I have with Andy is much different from all of the different people that I've called my friends. It is very much like the sisterhood that I have with my cousin, who is very much my sister more so than just my cousin. And as Andy said too, you know, my cousin Mo, um, it she it was never, our connection was never really about the fact that our mothers were sisters. I think that we came together in this human experience because our mothers were sisters, but really we have lots of cousins that we never connected with, and as Andy said, never had really any chemistry, um, just didn't understand one another. So what Mo and I have and what Andy and I have, those two relationships are very similar to me, and very real to me in a different way, because it's really not about, it's more about what's in here, and I think also about our roadmaps in life, more so than about how we actually physically came together on this plane. Because many circumstances can play a role in you connecting with someone that's going to be in your life for the rest of your life, who's going to live out dreams with you, who's going to work together with you to build passions and businesses and ideas, but also someone who's going to be there for you, and you feel that it's so natural to be there for them. And I do think that that's something that is, unfortunately, in a way, not something we can force to happen. Um, but I want to say that where our control comes in, where our part, our manifestation part comes in as far as finding true friends, is to remain open. And I have to say that that's something that through so many things I've gone through, that thank God, Goddess, that I've always been able to remain. And I tweet about that a lot on iWonder Sister, because I really want people to experience what they say they want to experience. And when it comes to bonding, um, and really, really having someone who is like-minded, and someone who's on the same page as you are, um, I really feel like you have to remain open. And too many times we don't, when it comes to making friends, especially as adults, because we look for people that are like ourselves. And I understand the natural process of that, but we also tend to look for people often that look like we do. We might consider them like, oh, they're in my generation or whatever. All these things that ultimately, in a true, meaningful, destined relationship, friendship, sisterhood, brotherhood, really don't matter at all. And had I been someone, and Andy been someone who was, and it's not always conscious, but who was kind of looking for a reflection of themselves, we probably would have never even become friends, let alone be at the deepest level of sharing that we are. And as Andy said, like, there's exactly 20 years between us, but we grew up in different places, and
I mean, we're so different in temperament and in energy level. Um, you know, when I think back to when we met, I never would have thought particularly that Kim and I would become as close as we have. Um, but she shot um, a load of energy into my behind, and got me doing things that I always wanted to do but never did. And and I think I brought to the surface for her um, an emotional uh, an emotional expression that was difficult for her. And so we complement each other very well. Um, and we're not reflections of each other.
no.
You know, I mean, a lot of schools of thought say that the people in your lives are reflections of who you are. And on some level, we must be. But practically speaking, um, we're not reflections of each other at all. And I think that's one of the things that brings so much spunk and energy to the relationship, because we are so different, and because um, our minds meet on different levels, and and we share that so openly.
Yeah, indeed, and you know, I think that I've learned from so many different kinds of relationships in my life. Most of my friendships didn't last, for many reasons, circumstances, relocating, and things like that. Sorry, Chloe. So, but one thing I have learned is that it's really good to have differences. It makes things really interesting. I wouldn't want to be in a family with anyone that was just like myself. How I think we are reflections of one another is that, as I was saying to Andy, I think it was yesterday, that through my sisterhood, relationship, friendship with her, I'm able to see myself in a way that I would not be able to see if I were moving through the world alone, which both of us actually are used to doing.
Yeah.
so, um, so in a way, being in this type of friendship is a mirror, because you're able to see the light and shadow aspects of yourself simply through your um, bond movement relationship. Chloe, come on, come on. With one another. so so I think that is the main part of what has helped me to grow. And I said to Andy, I mean, we've both been on our own separate spiritual paths for very long periods of time. And I said to her that many of the things that I desired to learn through my path, it seems as though it really took my friendship with her to make those things come to fruition for me, to bring them to surface so that I could look at them and deal with them, face them, and if they needed changing, go about the business of doing that. So so I think it's great to be different. It's much more fun. You learn from one another, but as we always say, at the very core of who we are, like at the deepest level, that's where we're the most alike. And to me, that's where it's most important. And it's the same thing with marriages. I mean, I was married for 4 years, and it was never really an intimate marriage, an intimate relationship, because at the core of who we were, even though we had many surface things in common and surface things that we both enjoyed, but at the core of who we are not the same, and we were not the same, and that's okay. But eventually, that at the deepest level of how we believed and moved through life, we were at odds. And so all those surface things that we had in common, like loving good food and wine and traveling and reading and all those other things, were not enough to hold that together. And I think that that is the way that it is for many different types of relationships.
Um, I I just wanted to add that people come into our lives to teach us something about ourselves. And so when you meet someone, the more open you can be, the more you're going to learn. And you may not click with that person, you may not even like them, but I guarantee you will learn something if you're open and receptive to their presence in your life, however brief it might be. I also wanted to say that, I mean, I've always been a loner, and it's it it's been hard for me to learn how to share space with another person, um, and how to make the compromises that you have to make when you share a life like that. And but I think that going it alone or thinking that you can is a big mistake. I think that reaching out to others and making connections is one of the most important things about being human. I believe that we learn the most about ourselves through our relationships. Um, we have more fun in life through our relationships. Um, I mean, I probably wouldn't laugh nearly as much if Kim weren't in the room all the time. Um, and uh, I think that kind of friendship, especially for women, and that kind of sisterhood is really, really important. And if you don't have those sorts of people in your life, don't give up looking, um, because they're out there. You just need to put yourself in the right place at the right time. Um, but I think it's really important to make those connections. I think it fills us as human beings. It rounds us out as personalities. It teaches us how to communicate better, um, and it also shows us how honest we are. Um, because so much of the time we put on masks and try to bullshit our way through relationships. And if you're really receptive, you'll learn in a relationship how honest you really are. And how honest you are with someone else is also a reflection of how honest you are with yourself.
Yes, indeed. Because both of us have learned through other friendships and sisterhoods, partnerships that we've had, that if you can't be truthful with yourself, it's impossible to be that way with anybody else. It
Mm-hmm.
really is. It all starts with you when it comes to drawing people into your life. You know, it's all about who we are, because so many times I've heard people tell me and talk to me about how they wish they had a close friend, they wish they had a mate, they're looking for their soulmate and all these things, when the truth of the matter is that I can say that I know this for sure, and I'm fine if people disagree with me. But one thing I know for sure is that you need to be the person that you're looking for. You need to be in a space where you have something to give of yourself, something that can't be touched, something not tangible, instead of being in the process of looking for people to come into your life to make you feel a certain way, be a certain way, do a certain thing. Oh, I've heard people say, oh, if I had somebody in my life, I would be doing this or doing that. And the reality of that, folks, is that it's just not true. So,
Unless you're a fairly fully realized human being,
yeah.
individuated in your own self, um, you can't really have an open and honest relationship with anybody else.
Exactly, it's the truth. And there, you might say, oh, I've had a friend for 12 years, 20 years, and there are many people who are in all different types of relationships for very long periods of time. But do they really know each other? And also, do they know themselves? Also, do they trust enough to share who it is that they really, really are at all times? Um, this is important. And I'm a person that didn't really understand the real importance of that when I got married. It was so easy to look back and see that that wasn't going to work, because I didn't have enough trust in myself
Mm.
to be who I was all the time. I did not have enough love for myself to be who I was all the time. And so when you bring someone into your life, and they also have their own, path and issues and all other types of things, it's really hard. And I'm not saying that it can't work, but you would have to be in agreement that both of you are going to work on yourselves, and then come together. So it's really, it's like anything else, friendship. I think it's uh, a sort of a self-searching reflective, looking within at yourself. And I learn things about myself all the time. Andy and I always say, and I always tweet, we're in the midst of the ing, okay? We're still learning, growing, and all those ings. So I haven't gotten there yet, and I don't know whether you really do.
I don't believe that you do. I think that the 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 evolution of becoming goes on until you die, and perhaps even beyond that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Indeed. And I have, really come to peace with that I'm going to be in the midst of the ing. And it's through these bonds that we have, through our sisters and many of our brothers, that we learn ourselves. Andy said earlier, which is so true, and I know because when I probably first heard someone say this, which would have been many years ago, it too sounded a bit surreal for me. But Andy said, no matter who we are or who they are, we're all in each other's lives for a reason, to teach us something. We're all each other's teachers, and everyone that's in our lives is our teacher. Whether they're in it for 5 minutes standing in the grocery line, or they're in our lives for 5 years, or whether they're in our lives for 50 years. We're each other's teachers. And I know that very definitely to be true now. Even from my smallest encounters with people, I know that I might not get it right away, but for some reason I needed to be there for them, and they needed to be there for me. And Andy made a great point when she said sometimes it's like situations in which, are not peaceful or harmonious or anything like that. It's not always pretty. The lessons that we learn from one another, and even as really, really best friends, as deep friends and family and sisters, it's not always easy. There are times when, um, through my friendship and relationship with Andy, that I'll see aspects of myself that I'm like, ooh, I either thought I left that behind, or I didn't even know was there. But it's worth it. The friendship, the relationship is worth it for me not to push that aside. But I take it in, and I'm like, okay, wow, okay, yeah, and you have to be brave enough to do that, because the friendship, the bond is so worth it. And as Andy said, too many times we go through this life with our friends and our mates and our family, really bullshitting ourselves and each other, never really saying what we mean to say, never really having a true form of expression. And ultimately those relationships are not really, really real. So I'm definitely still and always in the midst of the ing, always learning and growing. And we learn about each other. Andy says a lot of times, oh, do you know there's so much we probably still have yet to learn about each other. And this is so true, and so many things unfold. And I love that aspect of our friendship, but I also love the way that it allows me to get to know me. And what was that your psychiatrist? Andy was telling me years ago that he said something so
Yeah, I
profound.
had a psychiatrist many, many years ago when I was in my early 20s, and he once said to me, when you lose sight of who you are, look into the eyes of another. And we see ourselves reflected in the people around us all the time. And very frequently, other people have a better, more objective, and more realistic idea of who you are than you do, because your self-esteem is low, or you're detached from yourself in some way. Um, and always, if you look into the eyes of someone close to you, you will find yourself again.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, to me, that takes a lot of courage, to
It
do all
does.
the time.
It does.
It really does. And I think that's why so many people choose, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. I mean, I think usually it's unconsciously to um, not to choose it, to choose to go on with a facade because they've learned how to play the role in each other's lives. And so once you learn a role, it gets easier and easier to play. But to deal with, your authentic self is more difficult and more challenging. But I have to say that it really is much more rewarding. And we talk a lot about Andy and I having more everyday peace in our lives and sharing pearls of wisdom that help you to have more everyday peace in your lives. And I'm going to tell you, one of the things that I think brings about a great level of everyday peace is authenticity, is being able to just be who you are, whatever that is, in the moment.
But as Kim said, that takes a lot of courage. In one of the Harry Potter films, after um, Voldemort has revealed himself again, um, Dumbledore says to Harry Potter, "Soon we will have to make the choice between what is right and what is easy."
Hmm.
And I take that very much to heart, because I think what is right for most people is self-awareness and honesty, and that's a difficult choice to make. There's an easier choice, and it's not as fulfilling, it's not as enriching, um, and it doesn't bring you closer to who you really are. And for me, that's what my life path is about. Understanding myself the best way I can, knowing who I am, being as honest with others as I can be, and those are hard choices.
Indeed, I mean, and I think that's one of the scariest things. I think there's a lot of scary things, but that's definitely one of them. The sort of feeling free and safe enough to be who you are with anybody. And I hear a lot of grown women. There's plenty of articles written about it. Grown women who say when I was a child, it was so much easier to make friends. Now that I'm an adult, it's almost like I have to go out of my way, like I have to plan how to meet a friend. And there are many reasons for that, but I think that one of them is that as children, especially small children, we are not trying to be anything but ourselves. We don't know anything about all the masks that we can put on over the years. So we are who we are, and children don't have unrealistic expectations. They don't expect Bobby down the street to complete them. They're not in that space. They are who they are. They're doing what they do, and they meet somebody else who's doing what they do and realize that this is much more fun if we do it together. And that's how we are as children. As adults, we have to remember that when we meet anybody, we come to them with years of stuff, with baggage, with issues, insecurities, pain, disappointment, the feelings of being betrayed by other people and other friends, especially women. We go through a lot of that. Well, I was betrayed by my best friend and all of that, so I'm just going to be by myself, and everything, and forget this whole sisterhood thing. And I once felt like that as well. It just seemed like it was too heartbreaking for me. But I have to say that through all of that, when I look back, it was all of those things that made me who I am and made me, I feel, be able to be in a relationship, a process, in a sisterhood in which I'm now like more flexible and more open, and more willing to learn about myself. It took all of those things. So really, honestly, truthfully, had I not had all of those friendships with women that I felt weren't pure, weren't honest, authentic, and all of those things, had I not had those experiences, I really wouldn't know how to be here now. You know,
I think
yeah.
one of the biggest fears people have is the fear of rejection. And and that's a very real thing. You think that if you are completely yourself, um, and someone doesn't like you, that there's something wrong with you. Um, and it takes a lot of uh, love for yourself, I think, to really be free enough to open yourself to others. You have to be secure with who you are, and not be afraid that you may say something that will cause the other person to go, "Whoa, I'm not going there." Um, because 9 times out of 10, and I can say this because I know I've done it with Kim, when I've talked about things that have really been bothering me that she thinks are absolutely trivial, but they bring me to tears. I feel secure enough in our love for each other and our acceptance of each other that I can say those things and risk the rejection, without fear.
Yeah. Because I mean, you're always going to be different no matter how much you have in common with one another. You're always going to be different, and there's going to be times when you see things differently. And when that happens, when Andy is much more, I would say, she takes things in when things happen. She's probably more emotional or in touch with those emotions than I am. I'm more in touch than I was with various emotions, but I don't naturally tend to take things in very deeply. Um, so when we have those times when she says, "Oh, I gotta talk to you about something," "Oh, I want to share something." For me, I mean, my mother used to tease me and say she thought this was my first lifetime as a woman. Because honestly, I'm so much like men when it comes to like, oh, you know how men hate when you say, "Honey, we need to talk." They hate that because they know some shit is about to come up that they really don't feel like dealing with. They just want a Budweiser, and a remote. and, and many times there is an aspect of myself that's very naturally like that because a lot of things just roll off my back. So what I learned through those experiences when she tells me what it is, because I'm thinking it's so humongous, like I have to share this.
But you have to know that these things are humongous to me.
It's true, and what I learned so many things. I learned that even though it might be trivial to me, through this, I'm learning compassion. I'm learning understanding. I'm learning that, Kim, it doesn't need to feel the same way to you for it to be valid.
Right.
So I'm in the process of learning that. But one day Andy said to me, in her way that she does, she said, I have to tell you something because I've been doing a lot of shadow work. And we'll talk about that a little bit in another episode. But shadow work is really when you face those dark aspects of yourself, that things about yourself you really don't like. Once you see it out here, you're like, "Oh, I don't like that about myself." Which doesn't, by the way, when we talk about the shadow self, doesn't mean that it's something that is all negative or bad or anything like that. It's the things that we see about ourselves, often through others, through our reactions, that we might get a feeling about automatically that we don't like that. So she says, I've been doing a lot of shadow work, and I said, okay. Um, and she said, sometimes I'm just so selfish. I just want what I want, and I don't think about, like you or other people. I just want what I want. And so I'm really like baffled because I'm perfectly fine. Like I have no idea what's going on. And then she says, like last night when I went for seconds for dinner, I took the big piece of chicken. Very seriously, I took the big piece of chicken, and I'm like, oh, I would have never known you took the big piece of chicken. It really doesn't matter to me that you took the big piece of chicken. She said, but it matters to me. And so obviously she was doing some deep work at the time, and this was only for her a manifestation or physical material aspect or evidence of what she was working on within herself. I didn't feel like I was cheated out of anything, and all that. So we talked about it, and then I let her talk, and I just kind of sat, and because all she really needed from me was for me to be, you know. Um, but it's things like that that I learned so much, because just because as a friend I don't see this as being important. And I've said that to her. I mean, this is how honest we are. I'm like, Angie, that is so like not important. Like I'm not even thinking about that. She goes, no, but I am. It's important to me. And when she says that, I can't automatically be in her space. But what it does do is it gives me pause, and it helps me. It stacks up in my library of wisdom the ability to know that things are valid, even though I don't feel the same way about them. Um, and this is like one of the many things that you can learn through a true, authentic, honest relationship. If it's not honest and not trusting, because they go together. Because usually when you don't trust someone, you're not honest with them, because you don't trust them with your truth. Um, but if you can find and be authentic with someone and have them give the same back to you, these are the things that you learn, about each other, about what it is actually to bond, and about yourself, you know. Um, so yeah, I'm, definitely still in the process.
I mean, I'm so out there
Mm.
with Kim at least, and she's so not,
Mhm.
and I think that that difference between us helps each of us in a different way,
Yes,
you know,
indeed.
and and it's so good. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Definitely, I mean, I always thought of when people would say, "Oh, I have a best friend," and I would see, people like that, women like that, who had like dear, dear friends. I would always think, that possibly cannot be. But the main thing that I can say is that you definitely need to be ready for whatever and whoever and however relationships of any kind enter into your life. And certainly, both of us, by the time I met Andy, I was in deep, deep spiritual work with myself, as was she. We brought a lot to each other's lives. However, both of us had to be ready. You can meet 1,000 people who could uplift your life, but if you're not ready, there's no way that that can ever happen.
Right.
So you can ask for the moment or the circumstances, but what do we always say? You still have to do the work. You still have to do the work. So yeah. So that's what we wanted to share with you today. We want to encourage you to please subscribe because, folks, we want to give stuff away. Okay, so we want to do giveaways and things like that and share things with you. Um, every week we try to do 2 videos. So every Saturday we record a conversations with the iWonder sisters, and then on Sundays we do love and libations. And now a part of that series is our talking about our work with doTERRA essential oils and everything they can do for you physically, emotionally, spiritually, used in magic, and so on. And we also have decided to do something really creative with them and add to our Etsy shop, work with these organic, very high quality essential oils, and we're going to be creating our own blends with them for very specific purposes of health and healing. So we do that every Sunday. And Love and Libations will always be about just that, things that we feel, spiritual tools that we feel help us to cultivate more real love, the capital L love, kind of love, within ourselves and in our lives. So that's what this is. So we're gonna have a little bit of fun because we want to share some things.
Notice
some
the
things.
blue lipstick.
Yes, indeed. This lipstick is called the Bewitching Hour, which I love because the name is just as important. If it was just like number 007 or something,
it wouldn't be the same.
It wouldn't be the same. But so we love Etsy, and we want to really spend a lot more money on Etsy. So this is by a company, a young lady. Her first name is Trina, and I'll put all the information actually below for you before we upload the video, and also you can see. But so this her company is called Limnit. Limnit, Limnit lipsticks. Okay, and here you can see, it might be backwards for you, but you get it. You get the point. These are her postcards with her lipstick swatches, and she makes these little mini compacts of lipstick. She also does the stick as well, the full sizes. But these are so much fun because it gives you an opportunity to try something and not have like a year's worth of it in a tube that maybe you don't like and you just spent like 12, 13 bucks. This was $4.50. Here it is. I'm going to show it to you. Limnit, and she's on Etsy, and her first name is Trina, I believe. Trina. But I'll make sure and put it on there, and then it comes in the cutest. There we go. It's not bad.
And a little goes a long way.
Goes a very long way. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So she sends, like I think a lot of the Etsy people do, instructions and the ways to use it and all of that, which is on the back of this card. So, it's to be kept in a cool place. Also, it's best applied with a brush. So, we'll be getting a brush and all that. So yeah, so this is called Bewitching Hour. It's a matte. I have a little bit of shimmery gloss over mine. I'll show you that because we bought something else today. So mine, you'll see a little glow on mine, but the lipstick itself from Limnit is what I like best, which is a matte formula, but it doesn't feel drying. My lips aren't screaming.
No, it doesn't. No,
Yeah.
not at all.
It's just really nice. It has a great texture to it, consistency to it, and she has some really, really great colors. This is $4.50. Okay, and there's a lot packed in here. I'm gonna tell you. It's so heavily and deeply pigmented, which is what I'm looking for. That I was able to use like the residual of it on my eyelids. So that shows you how much you're getting for $4.50. And it came so quickly too. So, and then this I got for Andy, because I'm so lazy about my nails. I'm going to get some falsies from Etsy, I think, or someplace. But But this is from a company called Bad Bitch Polish. So I just want to make sure that, yeah, it's called Bad Bitch. Oh, here. Okay. Bad Bitch Polish. Okay, she's also on Etsy. All right.
And she has wonderful colors.
Oh my God! OMG! The glitter, and you know, she has all different types of nail polish. You know, a lot of bling. This is called Yule, which of course is for the Yule time that we are coming upon now. And I'll try to get as close as possible so you can see. One day soon, and I'm going to Google after we're done. We're going to get ourselves a tripod camera.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, that does a lot. But we're just starting out, so this is Bad Bitch Polish in Yule. I'll turn it a little bit around where the letters
It
are.
actually has glitter, gold glitter in it.
Yeah, it's like a clear green. Definitely a perfect Yule time green too. Very Christmas tree-ish. And so you can wear it if you go to her Etsy shop at Bad Bitch Polish. She'll even tell you when you choose a color and you start to read about it, she'll tell you like what the pictures are. Like she'll say in picture number 1, that's 3 coats of this, and so on. Or picture number 2 is like this polish underneath and then Yule on top. So she's very good about letting you know how it's going to look and all that. And this was like $4 or $5, something like that. So also really inexpensive for a handmade product. So this is Bad Bitch Polish. And I just realized she said on the back of her card, a woman, a bad bitch is a woman of strong will, independent, fierce, confident, stylish and elegant with a little bit of naughty. And that would definitely be us. So great companies. This is Limnit. Let's see if I can get it in here really well. Okay, Limnit, Limnit on Etsy, and this is Bad Bitch Polish. So they are a lot of fun, and we were glad to receive those today, and I sent them thank yous and everything because the stuff came so quick. Like, we can't even get our paycheck this quick.
Yeah.
We're freelance writers, for those of you who don't know, and we do it in a couple different ways, but one of the companies is still like using snail mail when they pay us, so we love them very much. Actually, they do treat us, and they're great people, you know, but waiting on the mail. So anyway, so we got these, we found these, we were at Walgreens, and if you're looking for like a gift, okay, there you go, let me see if I can get it to focus a little bit. So if you're looking like for a gift for yourself or for a gift for somebody in your life that likes makeup and gloss and things like that, we got these little things. It's from a company called The Color Workshop. Markwins, it looks like it is, Markwins International. But the package will say The Color Workshop. There we go. And as you can see, they were only $2. And this is 3 glitterati, they call them, glitterati eyeliners, which I think are great. I think glitter is great for women over 40. I really do, because the more lights you have around your eyes and things like that, the fresher you look. So I really love a little glitter. And then I took the, this came, oh, here it is. So this is also The Color Workshop. It was $2 as well, and it's a silver eyeshadow with that came with a brush and came with a glittery gloss. Yeah, that's focusing, not so bad. And that's what I actually put on top of Bewitching Hour. That's on my lips right now. Bewitching Hour, just in case you can't see, as well, it's a really kind of deep blue. It's just very pretty. It's very true as well, which I like true colors. It's a cool blue. When you say, you know, it's a true blue. There's no purple in it, and there's going. So that's what we, that's our little Etsy haul. for the day. Chloe's going nuts because our landlord's dogs are at the door. You know, they always like to make an appearance. But anyway, we want to say thank you to all these great people, especially our Etsy girls, from Limnit Lipsticks and Bad Bitch Polish. This is so cute. So we're going to be picking out some more as well, just so you see who they are. And I'm going to put it down. It'll be down in the narrative section. Okay. Chloe. So, okay, so anyway, Chloe is running all over the keyboard. So anyway, we'll say thank you. Join us on iWonderSisterhood.com. Okay, subscribe to our blog for some giveaways in the future, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel here and tell your friends all about it. We're on Twitter at iWonderSisters, so please just connect with us any way that you can, and we thank you once again. This is Zen Master Chloe on Twitter as well. So
thank you so much for joining us this week. And we'll see you next week.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. Cheers, everybody. And
Cheers.
it's finished hers. Almost. Have a great evening, morning, night, whenever you're listening to this. Ciao, Bellas.